Hello everybody, Raspberry Barrel here, and today we're going to be reading a biography of the main religion in Jig 0109's universe. This is a religion that he created himself, called Celestialism. So if anyone is uncomfortable with the topic of religion, feel free to leave now. Before we begin, please forgive me if I stutter, hesitate, and for any noises in the background. And let's begin. I'm very interested. Celestialism. Origins. In a past so remote that understanding fails us, one of the most ancient forms of veneration to the divine emerged, which would change the face of the other lands and people in the course of a few millennia. The genesis of Celestialism, also known today as the faith of the goddess, or even Celestial Church, lies in what is supposed to be the ancient lands of the ancient Mewni Empire, not only philosophically, but also physically. According to the Compendium of the Cosmos, the oldest set of sacred texts of the religion, after creating the world and the humans that inhabited it, Goddess decided to leave the world so she could rest from her hard work. However, before she left, Celestia took the most blazing star of the sky as the empress blown from the star. Other versions make her a daughter of the goddess. The first goddess empress of the divine celestial empire, a mythical realm that, according to legends, was the predecessor of the ancient Mewni Empire. The empress blown from star reigned for a period of 10,000 years before she ascended back to the stars she belonged to. Her domain then went to her daughter, the empress wove from dawn, who ruled for 5,000 years, and then to the empress forged from sun, and then the empress carved from moon. Each reign was shorter and more problematic than the last, with peace and prosperity giving way to sins and corruption among the humans. It's said that after her ascension to the throne, the Empress carved from moon became a victim of the corruption that fell on the world, ruling by terror, dark arts, and necromancy, establishing an era of lies, lust, fear, and murder, and even sacrificing the youngest of her sisters in a hunger for power. But like previous reigns, her reign lasted less than that of her mother, and she was succeeded by her daughter, the Empress chanted from sky, who tried to rebuild the Celestial Empire, but her efforts were in vain. Disgusted with what the world had become, the Empress chanted from sky has left the world to find Goddess, and thus bring peace and prosperity back to the world. The Divine Celestial Empresses. This is the myth of the genesis of the humans, as the Celestines tell, but to understand it in its fullness, we need to deeply analyze the structure of religion and the role that belongs to the goddess and priests. The goddess. The most learned Celestines tell us that Celeste, in human Celestia, also known as Celestia, Celes, or simply Goddess, Hymunian Thea, Lomunian De, is the personification of the concept of Great Mother of the universe, and of everything that lives in it, she being many referred to as such. For the less educated, however, this concept usually brings certain misinterpretations around the sacred nature of the goddess, making it often believed that Celeste is a deity of absolute peace and goodness, which is not the case. Unlike other religions, Celeste is a deity of neutral and dubious nature, representing both the concept of good life, creation, harmony, and light, and the concept of evil, death, destruction, chaos, and darkness, because for the humans, any good deity that permits evil in the world is no deity at all. Goddess is usually portrayed in the ethereal figure of a naked fairy with 6 arms, in shades of yellow to pink, the colors of Mewni sky, supporting the 5, sometimes 6, aspects of the universe in each hand: the shooting star, the sun, the moon, the celestial globe, the black hole, and or the planet. Celestia's golden statue in a celestrum. History and structure. Celestialism spread to the world along with the expansion of the ancient Mewni Empire, when they turned their attention to the lands beyond the sea, taking deep roots in all their overseas domain, making it to this day the dominant religion, either primary or secondary, from the continent of New Mewni and the island kingdoms of the sea water folk, leaving alongside the celestial structure of religion and its historical trajectory, let's talk about its structure in Mewni. Celestialism is strictly organized in layers, with a well-defined and hierarchical system, with priests with different levels of assignment, from top to bottom. At its absolute base are the cadentines, religious novices who have finished their theoretical studies and who travel the roads both to preach and to officiate rites such as weddings and funerals in villages and hamlets, too small to have Celestium itself. Above these are the Astrians, staff members of a small Celestium, serving the priests who preside over them. Such priests, above all the previous members, and with some hierarchical power to absorb them, are called Celestians, ordained members who preside over a particular celestrum. They are the basis of the internal hierarchy of the religion, and when they take their vows, they leave aside their family and name, even though they come from ancient and proud blood, as they promise to dedicate their lives to the faith. Celestians tend to dress in priestly garments in shades of yellow, pink, and white, and lead sacred services in celestrums, in addition to being responsible for offering sacraments to the people and listening to the confessions of the illiterate. Above all these are the College of Celestrines and the High Celestrin, the highest authority constituted by the Celestialism, whose position only came into existence less than a millennia ago, when the Empire had fallen. The High Celestrin is the top leader of the hierarchy, being treated with extreme reverence by all members and devotees of the faith. Around its College of Celestrines, a group of high dignitaries of Celestialism, each of whom is the highest religious authority in their kingdom, also serving as the priest responsible for the great celestrum of each capital. Although the power of choice also extends to Celestrines, only Celestrines can be chosen from the position of High Celestrine after the death of the former. A Mew Woman Celestrine. Absolute evils. Celestrianism being prevalent in most kingdoms, as such a power and influence that, even after a millennia after the fall of the ancient empire, the legal codes applied in almost all the kingdoms still find much of their support in the traditions and doctrines preached by the priests and priestesses. Although some practices were rooted in the culture of the ancient Mewni Empire, Celestialism is notorious for being vehemently against prostitution, illegal children, polygamy, and gambling, practices condemned in most kingdoms, including sometimes in the legal sphere. In the same way, the Church considers rape an abominable act, as does slavery, which practice was completely banned after the fall of the Mewni Empire itself. Celestialism's position is no different in relation to incest, describing in the Compendium of Cosmos as the sexual union between a person and their child, parent, sibling, uncle, or aunt, absolutely condemning it. It's worth noting that Celestialism, unlike many other religions, doesn't condemn the sexual act before marriage, preaching only against the excess and disturbance, the sale, and the lack of control of it. Another sin that revolves around the family is the kinslaying, which practice is considered one of the most terrible crimes that humans can commit, being considered those who do it the most accused of all. Despite the degree of kinship and circumstances of killing a relative, for example in a war, have significant influence. The murder of guests by hosts, or vice versa, is also considered a terrible sin, and those who practice it are also considered to be cursed. Temples, shrines, rites, and symbols. Great Celestrum of the Butterfly Kingdom. The place of worship for Celeste is called a Celestrum, a building that, strictly speaking, has a sidereal dome, painted or sculpted to stimulate the starry sky with a skylight. Large celestrums of capital or private structures in large castles have beautiful statues carved in the likeness of the goddess, while small celestrums in more humble villages and hamlets may have small, coarse wooden or clay figurines. Likewise, all the details of celestrums, from altars to windows, can be more or less ornaments depending on the richness of the temple itself. The prayers conducted in Celestiums are directed to 5 or even 6 different altars, each representing one aspect of the cosmos, depending on what grace you want to get or what gratitude you want to do, with more or less papyrus scrolls being placed on the emberstones of the altars of each cosmic aspect. One of the main symbols of the goddess are the butterflies, creatures that are seen by the Mewmins as the eyes of the goddess's luminous aspect, while the moths are seen with the same function but as the eyes of the dark aspect of the goddess. Another great symbol of great importance for Celestialism itself and its devotees are the heavenwoods, in Mewmin Celestre, literally tree of Celeste, golden-stemmed trees with pink leaves, which nature has considered sacred due to the absence of seeds, with the branches of heavenwood simply rising under the ground where, according to the faith, the goddess blessed with her fertile touch. Such trees are sometimes used as shrines, not only as a quick access to the divine, but also for the performance of wedding rites among those too humble to be married in Celestium, in addition to being strongly preserved and protected, both by its spiritual and material value, due to its rarity. A heavenwood. With regard to funeral rituals, Celestrines teach that the afterlife to which all souls, the Mewmins, will go after a short and difficult existence is something very desirable within their natural collective sense, at least to the just ones. They say that virtuous souls will become part of the universe created by the Great Mother, living for eternity in a higher existence with the goddess and her loved ones. In contrast, the souls of the cruel and blasphemous, the liars and the sinners who didn't repent before their death, will fall into eternal oblivion, where true death reduces them to true nothingness, erasing their existence for eternity. Celestialism in the Butterfly Kingdom. With regard to Celestialism in the Butterfly Kingdom, religion and belief in the goddess is strongly related to the royal house, with family members, especially the queen, being considered as the incarnations of the goddess in Mewni, both due to the mysticalism surrounding the origins of the Butterfly Kingdom as to the magical abilities of queens and the exclusive capacity of women in the family to become the goddess herself, butterfly form. Such an understanding also makes the sanctification of queen exclusive to the butterfly branch of religion, although the recognition of such sanctities is beyond the borders of the kingdom is not that rare. Furthermore, the Butterfly Kingdom is currently the official capital of the faith, although it's not sure when such a thing started, which leads many scholars and devotees to believe in the period after the construction of the Great Celestium by Queen Hemra the Builder, which is not only the largest and most beautiful celestium in the known world, as the only one with a pair of heavenwood on its high altar. Celestialism is one of the cornerstones of the culture and traditions of the Mewnian Empire, and to understand its depth, Mewni's history and trajectory from thousands of years ago to the present day, it's essential to understand the path that Celestialism led from its mythical birth, lost in the annals of the history in a land that no longer exists, to the place that is now, as the most powerful and influential religion of all Mewni, the luminous star that guides the lives and souls of tens of millions of people. The Breath of Life by Planet Forest. And now is the biography of the religion, the Celestialism, by Jig0109 on DeviantArt. Please go check out the rest of his wonderful art on his DeviantArt, and he's also sketched out some more, a better idea of what some of the divine celestial empresses look like. Definitely go, if you're interested, go to his DeviantArt to see those sketches. I hope you all enjoyed this reading and learning about this very interesting religion that Jig0109 created for Mewni. Have a great rest of your day, and see you next time.